Hey guys, in this video I want to show you how to build a VESC board that beats a GTS in terms of speed while giving you GT range, and all that for less money than what you would pay for the base model of a GTS. So let's get right to it. So let's first take a look at what it would cost to build a GTS that's race-worthy. Alright, so let's see what it costs us to get a raceable GTS. So we want to buy a GTS, we want the 6-inch tire and the recurve rails. So we'll add that to cart, but we also want the free ride bumpers. We're at 3,500, we could add those separately. Let's just say I don't like deals. And we'll just add the free ride bumpers there, and then we want the FST footpads. So now we're looking at 4,100 before tax. So with tax we're at 4,376. So that should be pretty easy to beat. If you already have a GT, then that's your obvious starting point. But you don't necessarily need to cannibalize an existing GT. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build it from scratch without an existing GT and still come out way below the cost of a GTS. So let's put this away. And now, the most important piece that you need and that you can buy these days is the battery. So right here, fresh from Future Motion, is the GT battery. So this battery is the best deal on the Future Motion website. I've already taken it out, and I've already connected it, so I don't want to disconnect it. But basically, this is what you get. Completely sealed up. It comes with the harness. It comes with a box that has a super sturdy lid, which means you can run a soft foot pad on it, no problem. And brand new, fresh, never used battery. 600 bucks. So that's number one. The next thing you need, as you can see here, is a controller box. And that is the trickiest part. The controller box, you could buy one. You could buy a GT controller for 450, then you get it, obviously, but then you're paying for the actual electronic PCB and the lights and all that, and you don't need it. So try to find a used box. But even if you buy this box for 450 and then maybe sell the controller for a couple $100, it's still cheaper than a GTS. So I was lucky enough to find a used one, and that's what I started with. Since I was already placing an order at Future Motion, I figured I'm going to get the best foot pads that they have. So the FST base kit gives me the footholds, everything. So that's basically what you would get if you wanted to ride the FST system. So it already comes with some of the footholds. Yeah, you can buy more. I really like the whole concept because it's replaceable. You can add and adjust it. You can add additional components. So that's what I got. Brand new foot pads. And then, because we started from scratch, we don't have to pay for existing bumpers, so I ordered some nice bang bumpers. These are, I think, the Nico Special, so we got these. And then you do need a lid, so I did buy that lid from Future Motion, 50 bucks. And then you also need a gasket, and I made the mistake of not ordering one. So I 3D printed one, but I still am going to order one when I finish up this board. Oh, there's one more important piece. that is the rails. So I got these nice WTF Kyle Hansen rails, 285 on sale. And these are the extended rails. So standard WTF extended rails. And that is basically everything that you need regarding the frame and the plastic parts. So what's left is basically the complete electronics from Fungineers. And because I have the extended rails, I got the Superflux HS, added some purple titanium bolts in there, and I got the Burris 7-inch BTG tire, and I put some lifesavers on, so that thing is going to power our board. And now the last part that we need is our controller. That's the Thor 300 from Fungineers. That's going to go on in here. Then we need a BMS. The GTFO kit includes a smart BMS. Does not connect to the VESC, but it has its own app to check cell voltages and so on. And then we have the LEDs that also go in the controller box and into the battery box. So that kit costs $11.50 roughly, slightly less. So if you add it all up, let's see what our total is. Here we have our future motion order, $1,500 plus tax. Then here we got $675 at TFL. Now, when I just looked, the drop top base wasn't available in black, and those retro neon colors, they weren't really my thing. And then there is the Burris tire. We got tax. And then we got the Fungineers kit. It looked like it was actually $11.40 right now. Maybe my memory was wrong. So in total, we're looking at $36.24. But this is the most expensive way to go about it. So for example, we've seen that the rails were available cheaper for $285. There's some on sale. Bumpers can be on sale. The controller box, that's the hardest part. Finding that used is a little tricky. And if more than a handful of people are starting to look for controller boxes, they're going to be pretty impossible to find. But there are some guys working on CNC'd options as well. The Footpads don't have to be that expensive. Those are the FST pads. But yeah, so here basically I've put next to it another option. If you're going with the low boys, you're saving $100. If you can find a used box, you can save $350. If you get WTFs on clearance or find some other cheaper rails, then yeah, you're looking at $285 and $85. And so in total, this brings my cost down to $28.66. So that's already quite, now we're under $3,000. This is basically below the cost of a basic bone stock GT. And we still essentially have the same capabilities as before, but I just wanted to show you how easy it is to put together all the parts that you need for a true rival to the GTS with GT range, the big tire, and all the nice stuff like W rails, obviously perfectly leveled and not nose down or some nonsense. So yeah. And now all that's left to do is just plug it all together. No soldering, nothing, just plug and play. In theory, the one thing that I don't quite like about the Fungineers kit is that it does come in separate shipments and separate pieces. and it's not always exactly the same as in the instructional video, and also the configuration sort of needs to be revisited, so they're still working on that, but it's pretty close. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm super happy. I don't have to do any soldering and no custom cutting of anything. Just plug it all together, bolt it up, and done. So let's get started. What's really cool about the Thor 300 is the fat heatsink that it comes with. It doesn't even need it because it's already so good at staying or keeping the temperatures low. But that, like, what is this? Like 6mm anodized heatsink. Pretty awesome. One thing I don't quite like about this kit is all the extra long wires. So I used this 3D printed bar and I mounted it on that spare hole that was in here. And that keeps the wires kind of in check and makes it look a little bit more tidy. I've done the first step of the rail assembly. But I also discovered that the lid actually clashes with this big DC converter or whatever that is. Probably a heatsink for it. So, Dremel time. Here's the final result. Basically, this ridge here runs through here exactly like this screwdriver is showing. So between the two JSTs and over that big buck converter. Alright, time to put the lid down. Okay, nice. Alright, time to mount the motor using this stand. I should mention that this GTFO kit comes with these really nice but also expensive axle blocks. Anodized. They used to be gold, now they're all black. Kind of like the gold better, but I guess the black goes with more colors. And it comes with these titanium custom bolts. This is just temporary. I'll take them out and put Loctite on them later on. Okay, time to put on the other rail. So I put on the rail, let's put on the motor connector. The Superflux has extra length in the axle hole, so we can pull that cable out a little bit for BTG. Arrow pointing up. That Superflux connector is really nice. Time for the axle block. Now the other rail. It's time for the footpads. Okay, that board is ready. The board definitely turned out really nice. Now, the one thing I still had to do with this board is I did need to recalibrate the motor and especially the hall sensors, they never seem to come out right with the pre-config files. But other than that, everything was really smooth. Yeah, the board seems to work great. Now I have one problem, because this board, I don't actually have $3,000 to spend on a board for myself, so I was just going to sell it. I mainly built this just to prove a point, so I did list this on the local San Diego one-wheel riders group to give them an opportunity to get this first. Otherwise I'll open it up to more people, preferably in SoCal. I really don't want to ship the board. I'd rather hand it to somebody and walk them through it all. But the biggest problem with the board that you're trying to sell as new is I can't go and test ride it. So I have been trying to test it here in the grass and making sure there's no motor crunch and all that. But yeah, this is a really cool board. And if you want a board that gives you GTS-like performance or better and still give you GT range, this is it. Yeah, Future Motion should be doing this themselves, but it's not that hard to do it yourself, so here it is.